Okay, welcome to Mr. Tim Check's class. All right, today we're going to learn how to sheet the roof. We have all right, roofing components on, our rafters are installed, our lookouts are made, we have our barge rafters, and we have our subfascia all tied in. We even have a bevel on our subfascia, so everything can be in line for our sheathing here. So it's sheathing because we're like covering, all right, so sheath. All right, so what we're using for our sheathing today is the minimum code requirement. Now, this is just our practice house here. This is 7/16 OSB. Now, if I was doing a house, I'd probably use maybe 5/8 ply or 19/32 OSB is something a little bit heavier. But the 7/16, which is almost a ½ inch, is the minimum code to use. So we're going to use that today. So obviously, if it was a full-size house, we'd be using full-size 4x8 sheets. But since it's a smaller house, this is even 4x8. I'm going to use smaller sheets to replicate what 4x8 actually looks like. All right, so just pretend that these sheets are 4x8. Our first one here, okay. So imagine that we were up on a roof. All right, say this is 20, 30 feet in the air, and we got to get this up there. The first one's always a little bit more difficult than others. So what I like to do, and it's just good practice, especially if you're working by yourself or with just a partner, is to just install some helper blocks. All right, you can just use 1x material and just some 8-penny nails, and this is going to help the board from sliding off entirely. And you don't got to pound in the nails all the way because you're going to remove them. But in putting this first one on, it just kind of helps it from sliding off. So I'm just going to put them in between the rafters here. I'll put one more for good measure. So this is just going to help keep the first sheet on, especially because when you're starting with the first sheet, there's nowhere flat surface to stand. So if you can get this on there to help you hold it, and then you can get up on the roof, and you'll have a place to stand. All right, so I have my first one. So I'm going to pick up my first sheet. Now it's important to note that you want the rough side with the lines. All right, the lines are meant to be there so it shares your on-center spacing. All right, you want this exposed and facing up. You want the smooth side and the print to be facing down. All right, couple reasons. Smooth side, all right, it has the print, and when you have your pre-drywall inspection or your framing inspection, they want to be able to go inside the attic and be able to look up and see what kind of sheathing was used. All right, especially if you have your shingles installed already, you can't see the outside, but you can see the inside of it, and you better have your print showing what kind of sheathing you used and making sure everything's up to code. Another thing is that you want your rough side up because this will allow you to have better grip on the roof. All right, if you have that smooth side up, it's pretty slick, it might slide off the roof. This rough side gives you nice and grippy surface. All right, so I'm going to install this first sheet. All right, rough side up, and you can see the stops here. Stop it perfectly in place, and I'm all good to go. All right. So you might notice here that this is not breaking in between or on a rafter. So in a perfect world, it would break on a rafter, like your first full sheet, and everything would be great, and it all works out. Now in this case, it breaks right in between the rafters. Okay, this happens. Okay, but like I said, in a perfect world it would, but it's not always a perfect world. So what the heck do you do? So you could mark it, send it down to your cut guy, but that's going to waste a lot more time. What you can do is just take a chalk line. All right, mark the center of this. All right, put it in the center. All right, that's where it needs to be. Snap your chalk line and cut it in place. Now I'll tack it on and put a few nails in it, all right, so it doesn't move, because I think I'm going to need to take this brace out so I can get my saw in there. So I'm just going to tack this sheet on. Now, nailing on roof sheeting is a lot of nailing. So a full 4x8 sheet, you're going to be about 30 nails to nail it all on. And we're using 8 penny nails, 2.5-inch sinkers. I think it's technically 2 3/8, but and then this isn't a full sheet, but usually I do 5 nails across every rafter and then around the perimeter where your barge rafter is. All right, here I usually do about every 8 inches. All right, it's a lot of nailing. You kind of get faster as you get on. All right, so if I remove this, my block, all right, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, so I can just set my saw and cut right there, and I'll be able to get my sheet. All right, might have to remove this one. All right, also putting those blocks there makes a nice even edge for our, all right, sheathing. All right, now the next piece will be good. All right, now it's splitting. All right, I'll move up closer. Whoop. Now it's going to be splitting halfway on the rafter. All right, so they're both will be equally supported. So I'm just going to finish nailing. All right, I'm going to put one of these back on. I'll just use the same nails. Whoop. For my next sheet. So I got my next sheet here. All right, matching it up. Try to get it as square as possible. All right, now I'm just going to tack this on with some 8-penny nails. Whoop. Almost installed it. I wasn't paying attention. Rough side up, right? Always rough side up. And I actually don't like that fit that much, but that is where the center of that is. All right. So if I was going to do this, I might add some more blocking underneath here, but it'll be okay for now. So I'm just going to tack this off. I'm just going to tack this off at the end. All right, I can finish nailing that off later. All right, but I need to cut this end off. All right, and I can wait till I get the other one on, but I like to kind of do it one at a time. All right, if I can. So I'm just going to snap another chalk line. So I need to get this end off. So I'll hit it here. All right, where the end is. And I'll get it right there. And I'll get my circular saw out again. And I cut that off. And you can trim off a little bit as you go. All right, as long as it's not overhanging. Just get some chips here. You're good to go. All right, good. So, you might notice that this thing's a little unsquare. That's okay, no big deal. This is just for learning purposes. It was built by students. So I'm just going to finish nailing this off. All right, I don't think that's going anywhere. All right. So what happens now is that you're going to get to the top. All right. But we want to leave a little bit of gap at the top for your ridge vent, because in your attic here, you have to have airflow, all right, coming out of the rooftop. Okay. So we don't want to take our sheathing all the way to the ridge board here. We want to stop. Usually it's about 1.75 inches, 1.5 inches. All right. Somewhere in that range. Okay. And have some gap there. So I'm just going to take my piece here. So I just wanted to show that just like with flooring, okay, you want to have your joint staggered. Okay, so I would start, hopefully you have your joints something like this. So you have a joint here and a joint here for another 4 feet. Okay, so same thing I'm going to want to do here. Okay, this is already pre-ripped it, so I can have my plenty of space up here. All right, I'll show you. Whoops. All right, you can see that there's space up here, all right, for your ridge vent so your attic can breathe. So I'm just gonna line it up on one side, all right, and then I'm gonna cut it off on the other. Now, a couple other things about sheathing. You actually do want a little bit of gap for expansion, and if you have, all right, 24 on center especially, or you can just use them. They're called H-clips, all right, and you want to use H-clips between each rafter so you don't have sag, all right. But I'm just going to nail this tight. Another thing you can do, especially on full 4x8 sheets, is that you're going to want to snap your lines. So you make sure that you're hitting the rafters and not missing, because it's pretty easy to miss these, all right, if you're not paying attention. So you snap a line, almost like if your lines don't line up from the factory, you can snap your lines, all right, going all the way down, so you make sure every single nail hits. For some people, it might not even chalk a line, but I'm gonna chalk a line. You could actually just use the framing itself and kind of decide by there. All right. So, looks good. So now it's ready for the preparation and using shingles. All right, we're gonna use asphalt shingles to cover the rest.